first things first. I thought we could start things off by looking at beginnings. Here's the first line of a book some of you might know. Mr. and Mrs. Dursley of number 4 Privet Drive were proud to say that they were perfectly normal, thank you very much. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Now how about this one? Ma Ramatswe had a detective agency in Africa at the foot of Kagale Hill. That's the number 1 Ladies Detective Agency by Alexander McCall Smith. Okay, now here's a classic. It was a bright, cold day in April, and the clocks were striking 13. That's 1984 by George Orwell. Or how about this one? Far out in the uncharted backwaters of the unfashionable end of the western spiral of the galaxy lies a small, unregarded yellow sun. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. The Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown begins, Renowned curator Jacques Saunière staggered through the vaulted archway of the museum's Grand Gallery. Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen begins, It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. And The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Night Time by Mark Haddon. It was 7 minutes after midnight. The dog was lying on the grass in the middle of the lawn in front of Mrs. Shear's house. Its eyes were closed. Those are all good opening lines, but every year in England, a competition takes place to write the worst opening sentence for an imaginary book or story. It's called the Bulwer-Lytton competition, and it was inspired by an opening sentence that has become famous in England as an example of lazy, unimaginative writing. It was a dark and stormy night. Does that seem so bad to you? Why do you suppose it's generally considered bad? It was a dark and stormy night. How about this opening sentence? It was too dark to see anything, but we heard the crash as the tree was uprooted in the gale. Better or worse? Why?
Some writers might prefer that line because it gives them more to work with. It gives them things that might be useful in another scene of the story, like the uprooted tree or the hole it leaves in the earth.
Digiton, hey, you're not as dumb as you look. That's a good answer. Things are very useful to the writer, so try to bring things into your story early on, so you have more to work with.
Would Iggy members like to hear some recent winners of the prize for worst opening line?
I'm sure we would, Digiton, thank you.
I was a very, very, very sensitive child.
Why do you think the judges felt that deserved a prize?
You talking to me?
No, Digiton, I'm asking our members. But I'd like you to give us a few more prize-winning bad opening lines, if you would.
Here's a good one. John, surfing, said to his mother, surfing beside him, "How do you like surfing?"
A lot of redundancy in that one. Now here's one. Turning, I mentally digested all of what you, the reader, are about to find out heartbreakingly.
Don't tell the reader what to feel, make the reader feel it.
That's good advice, Digiton. Another writer's tip there. Don't tell the reader what to feel, make the reader feel it. All right.
I think it's time.
So do I. Time for our first creative writing exercise. And here's what we'd like Iggy members to do.
Begin a story using that famously bad first line, "It was a dark and stormy night," and write 10 more lines which take the story forward. That will be the beginning.
Right, and then another member will continue your story by writing what happens next, whatever they think up, but only for 10 more lines. That will be the middle.
And finally, another member, a third member, will take over and write 10 more lines, which will take us to the end.
Right, so you'll have a beginning, middle, and end to these stories, each part written by a different author. They will be collaborations, 3-part chain stories, which you'll be writing along with other Iggy writers. Further instructions will be found on the website. Anything to add, Digiton?
Good luck, good writing. Can't wait to see what our Iggy writers come up with.
Me neither. All right, start writing. It was a dark and stormy night.